Until you've actually done it, you may not understand why, but honest to goodness, we really would love for you to be a part of our studio audience. It's a great time for everybody. If you'd like to book a seat, visit DelmarvaLife.com. Click on the show tab on the right side of the page. You'll see the ticket tab there under for our audience, or you just give us a call, 443-880-9116. So we have done story after story on Delmarva Life about how to stay healthy. Just about every time we've learned that a healthy lifestyle is critical.
And we know we need to stay active. In fact, we touched on that yesterday. We also know that a proper diet is very important. We want to load up on fresh veggies and fruit and stay away from a lot of processed foods and those that are high in calories and fat.
As a matter of fact, it's been pounded into our heads that saturated fats in particular can really put our heart health at risk. But can they really? New researchers have some people questioning that.
Researchers from the University of Cambridge reviewed 72 different studies. They say they found no link between saturated fatty acid and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. In fact, they also say they found no connection between eating a diet high in unsaturated fats and a lower risk of heart disease. So is it a free-for-all to eat whatever you want?
Is it really okay to down that pizza and fries for dinner tonight with no concern whatsoever? Well, here to shed some light on that and what exactly it means as far as this new research goes is Dr. Melinda Cecil, who's the Assistant Professor and Director of Dietetics at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me.
So what are your thoughts on this new research?
Well, it is very interesting, and I can see where it's very confusing for the public. It was a very well done study. But what it did not prove that saturated fats are bad for the heart. What it simply said was there is no harm statistically to show that saturated fats are harmful.
So because of this study, could we see a change in the dietary recommendations, do you think?
At this point, no. The American Heart Association is still being very consistent with their advice, saying that we should limit saturated fats, we should eat the mono and polyunsaturated fats.
25 to 35% of total daily calories should come from fats?
That's correct. Between 25 and 35% of your daily calories are from fat.
But less than 7% of total daily calories from saturated fats?
That's still consistent, yes.
And then there's the trans fat.
Oof.
Now, the one thing the study did show, it did support the elimination of trans fats.
Get rid of
So
those.
that's one thing that the study did uphold. In looking at these 72 studies, that we still want to get those trans fats out of our diet, and the FDA is very conscientious about getting them labeled and really encouraging food processors to eliminate these trans fats.
Okay, so we've got these different kinds of fats. What is it they do to the body?
Okay, basically what the saturated fats are, they are the one fats that do seem to raise that bad cholesterol,
Okay.
those low density lipoproteins that you get on your little lipid panel when you get your report done.
Right.
And so that's why we've always been concerned about those saturated fats.
So researchers say they also found no connection between a diet high in unsaturated fats and a lower risk for heart disease. What do you make of that?
Well, again, it didn't statistically show anything, but it doesn't say they can't do harm in certain populations. And that was one of the limitations of the study. There were people who already had heart disease that were included in some of these studies. We don't know in some cases how long these people were on these different fat diets, so we don't know if time is an issue. That was not clear, and it wasn't clear how much these people were actually consuming when it came to these different kinds of fats. So basically what it says, it raises some important questions, but more research needs to be done.
Okay, so saturated fats, unsaturated fats, trans fats, are there any fats that are good for the body, that they're okay?
Well, we do talk about healthy and bad fats, and the healthy fats still tend to be those monounsaturates like your olive oil and your canola oil, and then the polyunsaturated fats like your corn and sunflower oil, safflower oil, and your soybean oil and things like that. So we do still consider those to be the good fats.
And you see some of these fats in some of our spread that we use, the tub spread. Is that a healthier alternative to butter?
Usually my recommendation is the softer a fat is at room temperature, the healthier it's going to be. So your tub spreads tend to be better. Butter still has cholesterol, and so if you're someone who's concerned about cholesterol intake, just like other animal fats, you would want to limit that and use that in moderation.
Okay, so we're hearing about oils as well, like coconut oil, palm oil.
Right.
Are these things okay?
they are saturated. They're the one vegetable fats that are solid at room temperature. And often you find those in other foods like cookies and pastries and things that have a lot of sugar added to them. And so those are foods that we're probably limiting anyway, especially if we're watching our weight. So again, the jury's still out a little bit on how healthy they are, but they are saturated and they are in a lot of foods that most people want to limit anyway.
Okay, so, and we talk about what's in our food, but we really need to pay attention to how we prepare it, correct?
Yes, because you can have a wonderful lean piece of meat, but if you're frying it in a saturated fat, or if you're deep fat frying it, or not preparing it in a healthy way, yes. So again, we're looking at using healthy fats when we prepare food, sauteing, doing oven frying where you're not deep fat frying, you're adding just a little bit of these healthy fats, and of course going with seasonings that add flavor that might otherwise be carried with a lot of fat. in
So
the food.
grilling, steaming, those are healthier choices when it comes to cooking
right.
food.
Broiling foods, baking.
So,
yeah.
wait a minute. Now, see, cookies is one of my favorites. Am I going to have to give up all my favorite foods now?
No. No, you can change the fat in a lot of baked goods and add a healthier fat. Vegetable oils often can be substituted with some adjustments in the recipe. And also, again, it's moderation. If we make it forbidden, we want it more. So, learning how to maybe get along with just one cookie instead of 3
See,
or
I was
something
going with
like
3
that.
instead of 8. But
Oh,
okay.
okay.
But you're cutting down, so you're still okay.
And it's not just eating, you really do have to have a healthy lifestyle.
Right, right. And exercise is still very important. Watching the added sugars. The American Heart Association also been very concerned about the extra sugars, and eating all those wonderful fruits and vegetables and whole grains. So again, looking at it as a total diet, not just one particular nutrient, is the way we stay healthy. And when we focus on one nutrient, we usually get in trouble because there's always one study that's going to show it one way and another study that's going to show it another, which does make it very confusing for the consumer.
And no smoking.
And no smoking.
Absolutely, no smoking.
Still
Yep.
some very exciting news. Thank you so much for
well,
sharing
thank
with
you
us.
so much for
I still
being
get to eat
here.
a
I
cookie every
enjoyed
now and then.
To read more about how you can maintain a healthy lifestyle, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab. Well, we just talked about cooking in oil and how it affects your health, but a renewed trend has you gargling it. Still ahead on Delmarva Life, it's called oil pulling. Learn what it is and what doctors have to say about it, plus why this up-and-coming Hollywood star says she does it every single day.
Now, there is something else that's catching on, certainly when it comes to your health, and that's gluten-free diets. You've probably heard that people talking about gluten. Maybe you've seen gluten-free labels, but do you know exactly what gluten is? We're going to learn more about the health problems that the protein can cause, plus how much it could cost you to switch to a gluten-free diet. But first, we just learned about the impact that different fats can have on our heart. Would you know if you were having a heart attack? Let's check in with Dr. Oz.
Hi, I'm Dr. Oz. You know the signs of a heart attack. It often starts with uncomfortable chest pressure that may seem to come and go. Pain or discomfort in one or both arms, your neck, back, jaw, or stomach are warning signs. If you suspect you're having a heart attack, even if you're not sure, you gotta call 911.